Welcome to the Female Finance Collective podcast, where we encourage women to have open and honest conversations about all things money.
I'm Jen, and I struggled for many years with debt and feeling financially overwhelmed, so I know how frustrating it can be. Now I'm passionate about helping women confidently take control of their personal finances.
And I'm Mary Lee. As a financial planner, I've had the privilege of working with hundreds of women who've transformed their financial lives. I'm excited to share my insights to help you on your financial journey.
Hey, I'm Sybil. I built my dream life traveling the world and creating financial freedom on a teacher's salary. Now I help women take charge of their money and burn brighter in life.
Let's start the money conversation. And so today we're going to talk about automating your savings. It has a big impact, but it's something that's quick and easy for you to set up. Here's why we want to talk about this. Here's why this is important. So many people want to save money, but they forget, right? They forget to transfer the money. They forget to, but they get to the end of the month and they're like, ooh, money was tight this month. So I just won't do it. It becomes one of those things where it's really easy to put off, right? And you're just like, oh, next month I'll do it or whatever. It's one of those things on your to-do list. It's just really easy to keep putting to the bottom. And here's why this matters. So studies show us that saving money and automating that savings leads to a higher savings balance without the sacrifice. And why I want to talk to you about this is because I have been seeing so many people post on social media lately that they have $0 in their bank account. $0. So there was somebody who was saying like, hey, times are kind of wild right now. Like I was behind this guy in line at the bank. He was withdrawing massive sums of money to take home and have cash at home. And people were like, I have $0 to take cash. First of all, we do not think you need to take all your money out and take it home and put it in your mattress. We addressed this in an episode a couple weeks ago, but so that's a whole nother story. But people were like alarmed. They said, I have $0 to go to the bank and withdraw and like take home and keep safe. So this is just making me feel away for everybody. I remember exactly how it felt when my savings account would be at $0 or $5 and I had no money saved up. And we want to eliminate that feeling for you. We want you to have that good feeling of like, hey, I've got some money in savings. It's limiting my stress a little bit. And I think it builds your financial confidence.
For sure. So let's talk about a step-by-step way to do this, because basically we want to set up an automation and forget it. We want to put a line in our budget for a very small amount and let the automation take care of it each week or each month. And so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to log into your banking app if you already have a banking app set up, like a high yield savings account. So a high yield savings account brings in a little bit of interest every month, or maybe you have a robo advising account. If you don't have one yet, step one, set up an account. Step two, log into that account. Okay, you're going to look for something that says transfers or reoccurring transfers. And you're going to find that and you're going to put a small, a manageable amount into that account each week or each month. You decide, but make a decision. Am I going to put in $5 weekly? And I'm going to put that into my budget. Or am I going to, in my case, what I do is I put $30 in once a month. Okay. And I set it as a reoccurring transfer. Okay. It's great to do that the day after you get paid. So you're going to log into that account, first step. You're going to find where you can set up a reoccurring transfer. Then you're going to set it at a small amount to come out weekly or monthly. And then you're going to, if you can, on your app, name it something motivating. Name it something exciting. Vacation fund, freedom fund, whatever you want to call it, but make it fun and put it into your budget. And that's all you have to do. And behind the scenes, you're going to forget about it. You're going to have this little stash of money that's building and compounding weekly, monthly, yearly, as it goes.
You make it sound so easy, but the truth is it really is that easy, right? Like, and there, if you don't have a high, not all banks offer a high yield savings account, but it is very easy. It could take you 5 minutes, quick Google search, best high yield savings accounts right now. That's what I did when I opened my last one because we have two for different things. And also, I'm just extra. I was like, why can't I just use the same one? But I just wanted to keep this one pot of money separate. So I just Googled, and there was I think, well, we all know I love NerdWallet, but I think there was an article on NerdWallet that had like a list of different high yield savings accounts, and it just said benefits, like their current interest rate and the pros of that bank account and the cons. And I just chose one. I went in, I opened it. It only took me a couple minutes, and then I could set up that transfer. So if you don't already have one, it's very easy. Same thing. I know, Sybil, you use Acorns. I also use Acorns, and that is a robo advising app. I think it takes just a couple of minutes to get that set up. So if you want to be investing it as opposed to just putting it in a savings account, um, that also just takes a second. And Sybil, remind us why we like a high yield savings account over the one that's like attached to our checking account. Because I know sometimes that feels like I like them for two reasons. So I want to know what your reasons would be. But that one that's really just sitting right there on your bank app, right below your checking account, that one's tempting. But why should we not use that one?
Yeah, so most of those typical savings accounts that come with your checking account um, earn like 0.2, maybe, I don't know, interest, right? So you might see 3 or 5 cents or 20 cents show up on your statement, but a high yield savings account earns, it depends on the interest rates, but 3 to 5% is what we've seen over the last years. Um, and so that's a very big difference, even on $1 a day, or even on a weekly $5 investment into that account. So I do know of one bank that I do actually use personally myself, Discover Bank, that the checking is attached to a savings that is a high yield savings account. So I think it's in that range, 3 to 5%, depending on the interest rates at the time. But my US bank, my other bank, it's like negligible, right? You don't earn anything on that savings account. So and high yield savings accounts are still liquid cash. It is just like a regular savings account, but it gets more interest. It's high yield versus low yield. They don't want to call it that, but they're low yield
That's what it
savings
is.
accounts.
Right. So it's cash, so it's easy to get out. You just, initiate a transfer to your checking account if it's in a different bank, and it just mine takes like 24 hours, maybe a little bit more. It's really fast. The other reason that I like a high yield over just a traditional, because most banks, right, don't, where you're keeping your checking account, most banks don't have a high
Right.
yield savings. But when I open my banking app, it's got like those two things right next to each other, right? It's far more tempting to transfer some money if I'm having a tight month and I'm kind of in that paycheck to paycheck mode. It's much easier to just go, oh, there's $500 there. I could
So
just
true.
transfer 100, and it would be so fast and easy. But if I actually have to go into a different account, set up the transfer, that gives my brain time to go, this is not what you want to do. This is not what this money is for. This money stays here, for the future. So I also like high yield savings accounts for that, not just for the interest, but for that like separation of my money.
Yeah, and there's if make sure that you're getting one with no fees, right? And
Right.
so
Good
then at
point.
that point, it doesn't matter that you have extra accounts. I'm doing quotes, those of you listening. If it has no fees, it really does help you segment it. So we would recommend that for an emergency savings fund, for example. It needs
Yep.
to be cash that you can get out easily, but you don't want to be tempted by it. You don't want to be able to just transfer it into your checking for a couple days, because then you might not ever transfer it back. So that's a
That's
really
right.
good point, that the separation is another benefit and a way to actually save more without even noticing it.
And like Sybil said, make sure there are no fees. There are tons of options without fees. So it's not hard to find that. But just watch for that when you're doing your quick research. Again, shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. Quick Google search. Choose one. Don't spend too much time going back and forth about it. Just choose one and get it started. So Your action step at the end of this episode is to, if you can't just pause this right now and do this, I want you to pick up your phone or open up your calendar, and I want you to schedule a time, just maybe like 15 minutes, where you're going to go in, set this up, set up the transfer, decide how much money you're going to transfer and how often. Honestly, you guys, it can be $5 a month. If that's really all you feel like you can do right now to get started, $5 a month is great. If you feel like you could do, 5 a week and just do a one-time transfer of $20, that's great too. Whatever you can do. Sybil, I think she said, like, choose a small, manageable amount.
Yep.
So it doesn't have to be crazy. Every single dollar counts, and every dollar is going to earn interest and then build and build and build. And you're going to be able to see a difference. And so that is your action step today. Schedule time to make this happen for yourself.